boys and girls, I have a story for you today called Those Strawberries. Gary was very fond of strawberries. In fact, he was so fond of them that when they were nearly ripe, it was difficult for him to walk down the garden without picking one. Did I say one? I should have said several, for unless someone was looking, Gary, I'm sorry to say, would pick as many as his little hands and pockets could carry. Now it so happened that Mum was fond of strawberries too, to say nothing of Dad, who liked to walk up and down among the bushes trying the flavour of the different berries. One day Dad went down the garden for a stroll, hoping to have a fat, juicy strawberry or two when he got down the garden to the bushes. But when he got there, the bushes were bare. There was not a strawberry to be seen. Even the very big one that had been growing all by itself and which Dad had been watching with such pride and anticipation had disappeared. The bushes had been stripped completely, as if a great wind had blown over them and swept all the strawberries away. I wonder who could have taken all the strawberries, said Dad to himself. It surely couldn't have been Gary, for I've spoken to him so many times about picking them. Perhaps the birds have been at them again, or maybe Mum has picked them to make some jam. Just then a cheery voice called to him, "Hi, Dad, come and look at all the things in my garden." It was Gary. Dad walked over to the little patch which he had given to the boy to cultivate. "Look, Dad, see these lovely flowers? Aren't they beautiful?" "They sure are," said Dad. "Nice apples you've got too." "Indeed they are," said Gary, "and I hope no one picks them but me." "Oh, now aren't you being a bit particular about it?" said Dad. "I sure am," said Gary. "Here I've waited all year for them, fertilised the tree and watered it and kept the weeds from it. I should say I am particular about who picks my apples. If baby touches them, I'll give him a good smack." "I see," said Dad, his eyes wandering over the rest of Gary's garden and lighting on a pile of strange green objects lying partially concealed by a cabbage leaf. Gary noticed the direction of Dad's gaze, promptly put his foot on the cabbage leaf and began to talk about his sunflowers. "Big sunflower, that, isn't it?" he said, blushing a little. But Dad wasn't interested in the sunflowers. He'd become exceedingly interested in cabbages. "Nice cabbages these," he said. "You've done well, Gary. Do let me feel the heart of this one. You shouldn't tread on the leaves of such fine plants." Gary blushed more deeply as Dad bent down to feel how solid the plant was. "I didn't know that you had any strawberry plants in your garden," said Dad rather sternly as he stood up. "I haven't," said Gary, very faintly and blushing more deeply. "Then where did these tops come from?" "Down the garden," said Gary. "Oh, I'm sorry," said Dad. "I thought I could trust my boy. Don't you think it's very mean of you to take all those strawberries when you knew how I've been waiting all the year for them? Haven't you seen me down there by the hour weeding and pruning and fertilising them?" Gary seemed to recognise his own argument and looked very sorry for himself. "It's too bad," said Dad, "and somehow you must learn not to do it again. Seeing you have helped yourself to my strawberries, I think I'll try a few of these apples." So Dad began to pick the ripest of them. "Oh, no," cried Gary, bursting into tears. "You mustn't pick my apples. They're mine. I've grown them all myself." "Well, what about my strawberries?" said Dad, proceeding to eat the fattest and rosiest apple. "If we say 6 strawberries equal 1 apple, I should think that I'm entitled to all the apples on this tree." "But you mustn't pick every one of them," cried Gary frantically. "I won't, on one condition." "What's that?" said Gary. "That you promise never again to take things that don't belong to you." "All right, I promise," said Gary. "Yes," said Dad, "and remember what the Golden Rule says about doing unto others as you would like them to do to you." Gary tried hard to remember, and next year he picked his own apples, and Dad had all the strawberries he desired.